From after the Civil War right up to the first quarter of the 20th century, according to descendants of the Gross family, there were over 70 African American families who either rented or owned property and lived along the southern stretch of Mackall Road. They would work fields and farms and other trades during the summer and were fishers and oystermen in the wintertime. Earl Buddy Hance drives this point home.
Back then, you either farmed or you worked on the water. There was no industry in Southern Maryland. I mean, there were no jobs. The economy in Southern Maryland was based on agriculture and water. And you farmed or watered or did both. And that's why the culture, and like I spoke about, it was a pretty good life. They probably didn't think so then.
As we turn around and go back up Mackall Road, remember that most of these farms started as plantations. On plantations, there was usually a central house where the owner lived and many other buildings. Many slave families lived in small houses with one room on the first floor, a fireplace, and a loft upstairs where the children slept. These were very much like the houses that the first settlers in Maryland built. There were no glass windows. There were only wood shutters that could be closed to keep out the rain. The slaves often built their own houses. Trees had to be cut down, logs shaped and put together. Mud and stones packed between the logs kept the wind out and kept in the heat from the fireplace. We don't really know who had the first plantation in Calvert County, but one of the first was purchased by Richard Smith in 1663, who at the time was the first Attorney General of Maryland. After he died around 1689, his son Richard Jr. inherited the property. Like his father before him, he was a lawyer. The first slave ship documented in Calvert County was the Fly, recorded in St. Leonard Creek near Smith's property in 1697. We may certainly assume that there were others earlier than that. We can conjecture an association of the Fly and Richard Smith, who was a legal representative of the Royal African Company, who were English slave traders. By the end of the 17th century, enslavement for life was the expectation for African people brought to the Maryland colony.